Welcome to Syncast, powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is Anna Buchner, Marketing Manager at Buchner Manufacturing. Anna, welcome. Really happy to have you here, and thank you for joining us. Can you provide us with a little bit of an overview of your professional background and your role at Buchner Manufacturing?
Happy to be here, Heath. Thank you for inviting me on. So I've been a marketer for, I believe, 9 years now. It's what my background is. I went to school for marketing. And so I like to say I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, but my bread and butter is really digital marketing. When I started, I did a little bit of everything. So branding, content, digital, events, what have you. I did it. And then slowly I shifted and specialized in digital marketing, became a marketing operations manager, all within tech software. And then in 2020, I made the leap back to my family's company at Buchner Manufacturing to being the marketing manager here. So I have a finger in every pie. I wanted to go back more to my roots of having that generalist feel, but still working on the strategy and being very hands-on. It's a small team here. It's me and one other person. So I'm still very hands-on, even though I'm also setting that strategy level. Just a little bit also of Buchner Manufacturing. We are a building product supplier specializing in the exterior building industry. We're the fourth largest manufacturer here in Canada. And so we focus on aluminum and steel building products. So think gutters, roofing, siding, fascia, soffit, but we sell everything that you need for the exterior of the home. We sell across Canada into the US and do have some worldwide customers.
Wow. And you said Buchner is the fourth largest just in general manufacturer?
Yeah, Canada? For the exterior building supplies market, yes, we are the fourth largest.
That's very impressive. And I read about the company and how it started kind of in one spot, and then it just evolved based on what they felt would be a much better product, or I should say products overall. So I think that's awesome. And I kind of have a little place in my heart for family owned and operated businesses. So really cool. You and I have chatted in the past, excuse me. And I one of the cool things that I thought was you're doing the digital marketing across all kinds of different companies, not just manufacturing and, as you mentioned, software, but you are also really awesome at Salesforce. And I was curious, when did you first start using it?
Sure. So I started using Salesforce as a regular user in 2017. That's when I started my first digital marketing focused role as just a digital marketing specialist. So I lived in Salesforce, and at the time it was also Marketo was our marketing tool that we use. So that was my playground. And back in 2017, there wasn't Salesforce Lightning, it was just Salesforce Classic. So it looked a lot different. Yeah. And just being a general user, I really just focused on more of the sales side of Salesforce. I didn't even know what a hub Salesforce could really be and all its potential. But then over time, as I changed roles, as I became more involved in the marketing operations process, I learned how different things could connect into Salesforce, how it could be more than just a sales tool. It could be a marketing tool. It can be a customer service tool. And slowly, I've also been learning more about the admin side of Salesforce. And in fact, I'm working on my Salesforce admin certification this year. And hopefully by the end of the year, I can say that I've got that ticked off and to my name.
Awesome. Awesome. And, you know, that kind of is a great segue into my next question about how Salesforce has evolved as a tool. I've been with Commercient for a few years now. And when I started, it was just, I think, right around the same time, 2017, just starting to move into Lightning. So I'm like, all right, Salesforce. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, I'm just now getting the hang of it. And then it moves into Lightning. But boy, I'll tell you, it has gotten even better. And you're right, there's so many different clouds, different just things that you can do with Salesforce. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that evolution and where it is now. And then my next question will be, how has it helped you in marketing?
Sure, absolutely. Just even the change from Salesforce Classic to Salesforce Lightning, because I had only been working with Salesforce about a year, and then it was like, you got to go, now we have to do like this change to Lightning. We're doing it preemptively. And I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'll make it work. And so even just that switch was a little bit of a curveball, but it made things just so much easier to even like use in Salesforce. Things were easier to access, things were easier to read. And it just helped our overall sales functionality. Some of our sales reps don't have the most tech background or aren't the most comfortable with technology. And not say that they aren't great salespeople, but going to Lightning helped navigate that a little bit with their usability. But I know when I started, Pardot was its own separate program, that was its own separate website that you had to go to, and now it's integrated into Salesforce, so it's just all one big hub there. Even now, when we were looking to implement Salesforce, I didn't know that you could get all these tools and add-ons to connect to things like your ERP or other softwares that you're using. It truly has now become this like all-in-one connectivity point.
Yeah.
So it's an integral part of your business. It's not just, oh, it's this little sales tool over here that we sometimes use or only the sales team can use it. No, you can really integrate multiple things into it so that so multiple teams and multiple functions are all connected and having all the same information at their fingertips. So there's a lot more transparency within the organizations as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, I chatted once with somebody in IT about their experience with Salesforce, and he was like, I don't have to worry about multiple licenses, multiple renewals,
Exactly.
multiple questions of what did we just pay a year, 2, 3 years from accounting, and no more multiple systems that he has to try to support and everything. It's all like right there. And I believe that was a company that started, they did baby steps. They kind of eased into the shallow end of the swimming pool versus diving in and getting like everything they could. And now their customer support is using it. They're obviously marketing and everything. And the fact that, as you said, it has evolved to that where it's, instead of separate sites, it's all kind of one spot. It is, he said, it's just kind of like a one-stop shop, and they don't have to, I think the big thing is you're not dealing with the multiple licenses, the multiple support, the multiple renewals, even if they're automatic. And I think almost anybody can understand that if they're in charge of the software, or the accounting calls or sends an email. What was this again? Now it's just, oh, Salesforce, got it. So, and I kind of maybe asked the second question a little bit early, but how much of a pivotal role has Salesforce played in enhancing your marketing strategies? And also, do you have any kind of specific instances or features that have really helped out in particular for you and Buchner?
Sure. So I'll actually approach this question both from my time outside of Buchner Manufacturing and inside of it, because Salesforce and it's been a huge part of my marketing journey. When I used it at prior organizations, like Salesforce was my right hand. It was crucial to my work as a marketing operations manager. I live and died by the information that was in Salesforce. If my data wasn't clean, if things weren't up to date, I couldn't then usually trigger off half the campaigns that I wanted to that with Pardot because things weren't right in Salesforce. Salesforce was my right hand, Pardot was my left hand. I'm also a Pardot certified specialist. So for me, like that whole ecosystem was something that I lived and breathed. And I didn't even know how powerful Salesforce could be used in our marketing until I really delved into both those tools and seeing how many things that you can just set up that are just automatic campaigns that you can have, as long as everything's up to date in Salesforce, that you can set up these automatic triggers looking for people, who maybe haven't called in to support for a year, so they can set up an automatic campaign that says, hey, you haven't talked to us in a year, everything's still going okay with your software, how's it going there? Or you can look for any opportunities that have been stuck for a while.
Mm.
ping sales and go, hey, do you need any marketing support here? Can we set up a campaign, or what do you need from marketing support to help push this opportunity along? And not to mention all the reporting that it gives. Like, I could see at any moment, okay, how many leads marketing is bringing in? What are the value of those leads? What has that resulted in sales? So that I could then in turn bring all that back to my managers, as well as our senior leadership team, to say, hey, this is how marketing has impacted our bottom line. This is the revenue that we've brought in. This is how our team is contributing to our revenue goals. And so for me, I couldn't when I was in my old roles, I couldn't do marketing without Salesforce. It was just that key part of our team. And so when I moved to Buchner Manufacturing, we didn't have CRM. I felt like I was cut off. Like, I was trying to do my job with my hands behind my back. I was like, how are you guys operating? I meant this out of love. And to their credit, they were doing a great job with the tools they had at their disposal. But I felt like I couldn't take our marketing to the next level until we had at minimum Salesforce in place, as well as a marketing automation platform in there. And now, just even since we're coming up on a year since we fully implemented, it's been night and day, the information that we've been able to get out of the system, how it's helping both marketing and sales. For me, it helps me not only have accurate customer information, so I can run campaigns to the right people at the right time. We can segment our data in ways that we couldn't before, and actually have really targeted campaigns, so that we're actually talking to the right people, focusing in on the right pain points, instead of just spraying and praying and hoping that that someone in our customer base likes this product that we're talking about. That if I want to run, say, a roofing campaign, I can focus in on our roofers who've bought XYZ products, so that way I can go, hey, you've bought XYZ product, here's a complimentary product that will actually help you save time, money, the whole shebang. And as well as our leadership team absolutely loves that they now have real-time insight into our sales data that they didn't really have before, to get stuff out of what really they just relied on the ERP, which isn't always the easiest to get info out of. But now they can actually see, hey, here's what our sales team is doing, here's how we're moving the needle, this is the opportunities that have been closed, here are the leads marketing bringing in, here are the lead sales bringing in, here's how our ROI we're getting off at trade shows, because we have a new lead capture system that connects into Salesforce. So it's just become a whole new way of doing things here at Buchner Manufacturing, and it's really allowed us to just to just fly now that we have a CRM tool to kind of ground us.
That's incredible. And I don't think I've ever heard that spray and pray. I think it's funny, but it is very true. I mean, how many people in the past, and maybe there's some success, they just kind of throw it out there into the wild. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, 13, 14 years ago, about the time when Google was starting to kind of float to the top in terms of, what platform are people going to be using to find businesses, Google Maps, and then the I'm not sure what it's called now, but it was the old Google My Business. And, the owner's like, well, let me start advertising on Google instead of, traditional advertising. And I said, sure. And it was suddenly, if you're not careful, and this is a small shop, they're going to be getting it. It is like you said, you spray and pray. And it's oh, well, that ad was seen in Australia for a company that really shouldn't be advertising further than a certain literally square mile or couple square miles. And that's kind of what the first thing I thought of. How I guess I know you went into a lot of awesome detail about it, but how can that data that you're getting, and probably Commercient helps a little bit with it, certain products that are probably sold, and it's being synced over from your ERP SYSPRO back to Salesforce, where you can maybe say, wow, this particular product has been pretty popular. Maybe we could create a campaign around it for other customers that are perhaps not buying it, and maybe spend a little less money, et cetera. I know I'm kind of throwing out a few things, but I love that saying, and I feel that you're right, that Salesforce just gives you such a great opportunity to not waste your money and throw stuff at a wall and see what's going to stick and what's going to fall off. And you're, wow, we spent how much money and what is our ROI type of a situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot that Salesforce has been able to help us with, and the fact that we can connect into our ERP, which is SYSPRO, has been absolutely actually crucial as well. So our sales reps don't always touch every single sale that happens in our organization, as we have sales reps and retail stores. So sometimes we just have a lot of reorders of people, or they'll call into the store directly. Our reps don't have to touch everything, and so having then our ERP data flow into Salesforce just gives us the entire full picture for each of our customers as well, because we're getting that data. Like I've set up reports for each of our sales reps that show the product mix in their territory, which our sales team has absolutely loved to see. Okay, I'm selling a lot of product A, B, and C, but I'm not really selling a lot of product X and Y. That means that I have opportunity to go penetrate that more in our market. As well, it also gives us a bigger company picture from a sales and marketing perspective to say, hey, we're like killing it on these product categories. We make really good margins on these other ones, but we're not selling enough of it. Look, hey, how can I then pivot and do some campaigns around that? That especially for me, that's what I'm doing, looking at campaigns. Our sales managers looking, okay, well, how can I deploy my team to go after these certain product categories, or find the customers that would do best with these certain product categories. Not to mention also for forecasting reasons as well, having that ERP data allows us to see like what our average customer size is, what are our customers like past year sales to current year sales, how are they tracking? Having that data really helps us just make more data informed decisions, to just like, hey, I think someone's doing this, or like, I think this customer is ahead of this year, and our sales team loves it because they can see exactly how their customers are doing. They can see the month-to-month breakdown. It allows them just to be able to be more efficient with their time and go after the people that, hey, if this person's doing well and they're above last year's sales, great. That's awesome. That's set. I'm going to go work on these customers that, we haven't had a lot of traction with. Allows them to work smarter instead of harder as well.
Awesome. And just out of curiosity, does your company have more outside sales reps that cover certain territories versus an inside sales team?
Yeah, our sales team is mainly outside sales reps that have territories that they look after. I guess if you want to consider our retail stores as inside reps, you could. But yeah, we have our model is that we have physical stores that people can go in and buy from directly with our counter sales representatives. But then we also have a sales team that goes and takes care of finding new customers, as well as like just takes accounts once they are customers as well.
Gotcha. And one of the reasons why I asked that is we actually have a Canadian customer in Western Canada. But what they do is they're a distributor of like pet and animal supplies. And they told me that Salesforce has really helped them out a lot because they can just pull stuff up on their phones. They don't have to, hey, can you send me a report to inside sales on this customer? And then what Commercient does is that, some of these customers, they may buy irregularly. They may buy every 9-10 months, not every month, every quarter, like, hey, I just want to get everything out of the way every 6 months. So that way I don't have to deal with it. And they love that they don't have to sit there and ask accounting or inside sales to drop whatever they're doing, because they're busy too, to create a report, send it over, and then they have to make heads or tails of it. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Instead, what they're doing is they're going into a shop. Let's say it's been 8-9 months since they were last there, and they could just pull up Salesforce on their phone. They could either look at a dashboard or look at a report, and the reporting is pretty incredible. In my opinion, I think most people agree with Salesforce reporting is awesome. And then we're feeding that data of what that customer had ordered previously. And it just makes it so much smoother for the outside sales. But then, being able to talk to like an accountant or at a company or the inside sales rep, and they're just like, half my day used to be spent trying to get even the most basic information. Yes, they just opened up a new office. Yeah, the so-and-so just got promoted up. Here's your new point of contact. They're stopping what they're doing, but everything is just a lot smoother. Is there anything like that so far with the outside sales where they can kind of be a little bit more independent in the sense of they're not having to call up, hey, drop what you're doing. I really need to know what they ordered, a year and a half ago. They haven't ordered from us in a while, that kind of a situation.
Oh, absolutely. Our sales team just loves anyways that Salesforce has a mobile app. And so they don't even have to be on their computer to access customer data, that they can just quickly open it up, see what's going on is ahead of a call that they have with a client, or they meet a client on site, and then they can immediately just put in the notes then and there. They don't have to wait till they get home or put it in a notebook and just drag out the process. And especially that we've designed it with our Salesforce instance, that you can see their sales data from SYSPRO right within the customer accounts, like within the account screen, so they can just quickly see, hey, what this person's done XYZ with us month to date. They've done XYZ year to date. Here's what they did previous year. It's right there. They don't have to dig for it. They don't have to wait. A big thing is that they don't have to wait till a month end or quarter end to see what their sales were, that they can see it update in real time. Before, they'd have to wait to get a report from our accounting team to come out of the ERP, just because only certain people obviously have access to run those reports in ERP, as it should. Not everyone should have access to 100% the accounting
agree.
software. I say, as someone who spent a lot of time learning accounting, I don't want to be in that back end. But and I can understand it's frustrating for them. They don't know how their quarter went until the quarter is done. Versus now they can see, okay, I'm tracking ahead a month. Great. Or what, my target's this, I need to get a little bit more in order to hit that target. So it also helps motivate them that they can have access to that information. And so it's not just like, oh, I have to bother someone again. Likewise with even just customer notes, our sales manager and our management team likes that they can just easily see it in 2 seconds, as well as our sales team. They don't have to dig through anything. We don't have to be on the VPN to get onto this, to get onto that. It's just right in the palm of their hand at any point. Or even if they go and choose to use more of their computer, they like that they don't, as I said, have to use a VPN. They can access it from anywhere. And our sales team was like, what do you mean Salesforce just doesn't go down? I was like, no, it's stable. You don't have to get, they run maintenance at like 7 at night on a Saturday. You're not going to be using Salesforce then. They are just shocked at how stable and easy it is to access this program, because that's not always the case when you're using things like an ERP or other software where you have to use a VPN or be on the laptop. They're just, for them, it's a huge plus. That's just how portable and easy it is to use.
Awesome. You said something that I always think is pretty incredible, not waiting till the end of the quarter, getting your report, either immediately or sometimes up to a week or two. And one of our clients said the reason they love being able to jump in at any time to see what their quarterly reports. One of the biggest is there's nothing worse than getting that report, and sometime during the quarter, somebody who's kind of like has some sort of automatic, or they can kind of go in and do a lot of the ordering, just dropped off, and it is too late to save that account. Maybe they went to a competitor. And they could get on the phone immediately. Oh my goodness, this dropped off a cliff, quarter over quarter, month over month, year over year. And they can try to, oh, are you with a competitor? Let me give you a big discount. They can save that relationship. I think that is probably one of my favorite things that I like to hear. As far as I go. Now, sorry, getting Salesforce implemented and getting people on board at Buchner. I was wondering if you could just spend like a minute or two just kind of talking about that process, and also, from our previous conversations, it's not like, oh, well, we were using this kind of limited CRM, but it got us here. Or, oh yeah, remember that old CRM that got discontinued? We were somehow using it. It was like brand new, never used that kind of a platform before. Wondering if you could talk a little bit about the steps that you and your team took to ensure that everybody was like, okay, this is up and running, this is smooth, but this is a new way of thinking. It's not just software. It's a new way of approaching sales and marketing, et cetera. And I was wondering if you could just spend a couple minutes talking about that.
Absolutely. So I like to say that you don't know what you don't know. And so that I have no fault to this organization that they weren't using a tool like Salesforce for, because you don't know. They made, as I said, they made great strides with what they had it, and we've been obviously been successful, but I was like, hey, we can go just the next step. And so because of my past being like a marketing operations manager, I knew what tools could have, what they could be, and how we could utilize them. That said, it wasn't always it took me a while to actually get buy-in for Salesforce and for other tools, and which is understandable. You're asking someone to go and say, hey, there's this new tool. I'm the only one that's had use of it before in this organization. Trust me, I can implement it, and it's not going to be the cheapest. And so like it did take some time, but I think the big key was getting the buy-in and getting and spending the time with key stakeholders. Like I answered every question that I could. I leaned on the Salesforce team. I leaned on other people who had to have that knowledge to go, yep, here's what we can do with this platform. Let's manage your fears here. We can do it. But I led the entire implementation because I did have working knowledge of Salesforce before. And that was part of the reason that we got implemented, because I was willing to take the brunt of that. I was willing to go, you know what, hey, I can do it. It was me, myself, and I for majority of it. Plus we did use a Salesforce partner called Nubic here in Canada to help us obviously get implemented. And so between us two, we did the heavy lifting there. Because again of my background with Salesforce, I knew how to use it, I knew how to train people on it, and I was willing to take on that burden because I knew that, like, you know what, I'll put all this time and effort up front because this will pay off for us. And for most part, the people were receptive to this tool once I showed, like, hey, this is just even if just go on the surface level, this is what it can do for you. They're like, that's already so much better than what we had before. And I was like, yeah, and then wait till we get into like levels 5 and 6. Like you'll be even more blown away. And that's not to say that I still don't have people that are taking their time getting used to a tool. But that's normal. I would say I would be absolutely shocked if I had 100% adoption, 100% buy-in from like day one, because that's just a pipe dream. that doesn't happen. But I think because I have the experience with the tool, that I could shoulder a lot of this burden, and that I'm also very available for our team, being like, hey, I know you're gonna have questions, thoughts, concerns, what have you. Just pick up a phone. I'm happy to like go through whatever you need to. It's really helped in our organization to get people on board. And then once people started using the tool, they're like, hey, like this is great. This really helps us and helps me be more efficient, or just I like having information that I didn't have access to before. And so that was kind of like the journey here. I'm still trying to get more more tools, more products in, but I understand like that's a slow going battle. There's obviously budgets in place as well. But like it's already started to show like the ROI on Salesforce, that how much benefit it's already brought in, that like it just over time I know that we'll get even to a greater technological standpoint with what we can add on to Salesforce just as we keep building Blockit.
Yeah, incredible. And I love what you were saying about getting the stakeholders, talking to them. And I think some of, and this is no fault of Salesforce or anything else, but when you hear about, we're just going to do it and we're throwing you into the fire without saying, listen, you've never used a CRM before. And it'd be a whole different story if they were, we were using the CRM forever. So for us, it's just going to an even better experience, but we're all in on it because we've already used a tool similar. And I think that's where if somebody's not taking the time and saying, listen, tell me what your processes are, tell me what are the steps that you take, on a daily basis, quarterly, week, etc. And let's see what we could do to adapt it. I think without that, you're never going to get buy-in at all. And I have heard horror stories. I've heard the horror stories of, so we have this platform, it's already in, so you're going to be trained, you're going to get a couple hours, good luck. And everybody's like, what are you, what? And then it's like, well, shoot, nobody bought in. Yeah, because you didn't get the people involved. You didn't go to the right people, the stakeholders, the end users. And I just think that's incredible and huge compliment to you and your patience and being willing to kind of, like you said, shoulder that burden, because it for me, when I started at Commercient, this was 100% a whole new world. And I'm sure in your past of being in different companies, one of the biggest tools that people are using are like a literal or figurative Rolodex, emails, legal pads, and the biggest one of all, which I think is like probably the nightmare scenario, is the spreadsheets and the copies of spreadsheets and the copies of a copy, and whose spreadsheet is the newest one that has all the latest sales, and it's not old data, et cetera, et cetera. So awesome. Wanted to ask, we talked a little bit about Commercient SYNC and everything, and thank you for that. Wanted to ask you, and you don't have to give me any kind of numbers or anything like that, but with Salesforce, and let me back up a little bit. You said, hey, well, you don't know, and they were doing a great job with what they had, but has Salesforce kind of taken the sales kind of like to a new level for them because of the way that Salesforce really just kind of does this great overall way of helping along with that ERP data that we're syncing over?
Yeah, I definitely don't have any numbers for you.
That's okay.
That's just because we tend to do that analysis at the year end. And as I said, we're just only coming up on like a year of actually being live. And so we're just going to wait till we have that full year to actually see what we can see data wise. But anecdotally, for sure, there's been some sales reps that have absolutely taken this new system and just run with it.
Awesome.
That they love, that they have all, as I said, they have these reports and data and can go after the people that, you know what, hey, we have more potential with. And I know it's enabled some of our reps to just absolutely sing. And it's been great seeing them just run with it. Like, for example, I've built one report that shows active accounts, but has had 0 sales for the year. And that utilizes the ERP data that comes over from using the Commercient SYNC. And so they love having that list because, hey, that's easy pickings right there. That if I have an active account, but they haven't bought anything, it's like, that's just easy. Let's just work on that and pluck away and get them to at least make a sale. So right then and there, they have something at their fingertips, so they can just easily work on that. And like likewise, if we had a rep say, hey, Anna, can you target these accounts because like they're active in the system, haven't bought anything, but let's see if we can hit them in multiple ways. That you start off, warm them up, marketing, and then I'll follow up with sales. Beautiful, 1-2 punch.
Awesome.
So we've definitely seen that for sure. Some reps have just taken with this, and even with other reps who have been slower on adoption, they still find themselves that because they have access to notes even, and can just see the data, that, you know what, they don't have to spend as much time with certain accounts than they used to, just because they can see, hey, sales numbers are up, I'm going to work on the other accounts. Even if they're not using everything to its fullest potential, they still are using more than what they did before to allow them to work more efficiently.
Awesome. That's incredible, because those accounts will just be forgotten, the ones that haven't ordered. And something as simple as, like you said, the 1-2 punch of marketing, getting it kind of set up, and then for sales to kind of get the hit, if we're thinking like tennis, if you will, or volleyball. Just a couple more questions. Coming from kind of more of the software side of things, where you were doing digital marketing and then going into manufacturing, have you brought anything that was working in one industry into the manufacturing side, specifically, exterior building manufacturing, that is helping? I know that's kind of probably a out of left field question, but when you're going from something as specific as spot software to something even more very specific, not just manufacturing, but manufacturing of exterior building products, is there much of a difference, or could you take something that worked and adapt it to what you're doing now? Or is this just like, Heath, I got to say that they're so different that I've had to kind of do things a lot differently?
So I won't lie, it was a bit of a shock for me to go from software to manufacturing. It's a whole different industry that I was going into, especially that the last software company I was at sold specifically like ERP software to farmers. Like that's highly
that is very specific.
Going to then now like exterior building products. There is there was definitely some overlap because obviously with ERP software sales, it's B2B, and a lot of our customer base over here at Buchner Manufacturing is also, it's B2B, like we're selling to contractors and distributors. So a lot of that process is very similar, and still at the end of the day, you are selling to humans. So regardless if you're selling B2B, B2C, still humans, just how you frame it's just slightly different because there might be a few more steps in the way. Biggest difference though is the sales cycle with software. As I'm sure you can also say, like it's usually a longer sales cycle. Here it is not. You need products, like it's not like, oh, let me think if I need siding for a house. It's like, no, I need siding for a house in a week. It's a much shorter sales cycle there. And so adapting to that took me a little bit to realize, okay, I don't have to think about multi-quarter campaigns that are just focused on one thing and slowly chipping away. I can be a lot more blunt in a way, because these people are looking to buy in a month's time, not in 6 months time or for a certain season or what have you. So it was definitely a little bit of a culture shock, but as I said, at the end of the day, you are still marketing, you're still selling to humans. You'll figure it out, but the biggest thing was definitely the sales cycle, and that one was a sales cycle. Also, when the biggest difference, at least for me, was the fact that I now have to deal with the ERP system and Salesforce here at Buchner Manufacturing. While at my old company, it was all just everything was in Salesforce because it was software, and so having to deal with that kind of multi-system approach and the fact that you have physical product is a bit different. You have to wrap your mind that, okay, these two things are happening at the same time. Like, as I said, you have sales team and we have in store so there's multiple points of sale happening at the same time versus everything just feeds into Salesforce elsewhere. So learning how to take that into account, and that what, I'm going to have to almost have a two-pronged approach, because I have stuff going on at the store level, stuff going on at the sales level. How can I merge that together? Bit of a loop, but I feel like I've at 3 years in, I hopefully have a handle on it. But yeah, that's where I'm going to say is probably the biggest differences and overlaps between software and manufacturing.
Awesome. And I'll just, before I ask my last question, we have a customer, and I wasn't even thinking sales cycle, but I'm used to hearing, like you said, it's you might be doing marketing for a few months before and sales calls before they close. And I was like, so what's your sales cycle like? And he goes, oh, anywhere between 15 to 24 months. I almost fell out of my chair. It's because they sell multi-million dollar I don't even remember what it was, just equipment to utilities. So this would be dealing with cities, municipalities all over the world. And so it takes a long time. So they may only get a few sales a year,
but that's all you need.
That's all you need. And you're good to go, so, but I didn't even think about it, because, we have clients that are like, well, we work with utilities, but we do the technology that is involved with water meters. So that's a much faster sales cycle versus we're going to be bringing in tens of millions of dollars worth of equipment, and it's going to be a while, but you're going to have a state-of-the-art water filtration and system and everything. So my final question to you, and Anna, again, thank you so much for spending the time with us today and everything. But what would be your top 3 to 5 tips for our audience watching with utilizing Salesforce to enhance and improve digital marketing strategies?
That's a good question. So I think right off the top of my head, because I'm a data nerd at heart, is have clean data. Something has to be your source of truth. And so in my case, I use Salesforce as my source of truth. And if the data isn't clean in there, then it's just going to affect everything that you do in marketing. There's nothing worse that when you spend time building a campaign and then you send out via email and you have a huge bounce back rate because half the email addresses in the campaign are old emails that don't work because the data wasn't clean. Or you send out something thinking, okay, hey, you know what, this person does it, like buys this product, and then you find out no, they actually don't buy that product, and they're offended that they got this email because they're like, why would you think I do that? That has happened before at prior companies where someone got offended because they got the wrong email for the wrong product. They thought we didn't know who they were. People are a lot more savvy to marketing now these days because of the access to information they have. So you really only have like one shot at a good impression, one shot at getting in campaigns sometimes, because people want better. They want something that's actually focused on their needs. They don't want some like spray and pray cold email that says, hey, we can help you, but doesn't actually point into what they're talking about. So longest way of saying clean data. That is something I would definitely, it's a pain, but it's super key. The next thing I would say is don't be afraid to segment the data and actually work. If you are not the Salesforce admin, work with your Salesforce admin to get in like the tags and the fields and the things that you will need to properly segment your data. It does take time at the beginning, but once you have that in place, you can actually then pull reports, slice and dice things that can make your marketing that much more impactful, because you're actually focusing on the people whose pain points it matters the most, or people most likely to buy that product because you've really done the time in your segmentation. The third is work with sales, don't work against it. When you have a tool like Salesforce, it's a lot easier to be collaborative with sales, because you can just on the chat or be like, hey, how's this deal going? Do you need any help? And like they can pull you in, or likewise, you can offer up your services in marketing if something has stalled. You work together as a team for the common good, which is this case revenue, and not against each other. It can make a world of a difference with your marketing the more that you two are working together. And also just like, hey, you guys still get the sale, you still get all the credit, doesn't matter how you got there, whether you used our help or not. At the end of the day, it just makes the organization stronger, and you still end up at the end goal, which is just getting sales. And then I'd say probably my last tip is, which kind of relates to you don't know what you don't know, but always be on the lookout for new technology, new ways of doing things. And if you feel that there should be a better way of running a campaign, whether that means getting like a new software like Pardot or another marketing automation platform, look into it, spend the time, reach out to your network, find out what you can do to make your campaigns stronger, and utilize the network of marketers like truly around the globe. Like there's so many communities on LinkedIn or Salesforce Trailblazer. Utilize those, because trust me, you don't have to reinvent the wheel with Salesforce. Chances are, if you have an idea, someone else has already done it. It's helped me get to where I am. I'm completely self-taught. It's just Googling your answer, figuring out, or talking to people in communities, and it will help you find the best way of doing something, or a better way of doing something, to help your marketing just shine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Anna, how can our audience learn more about Buchner Manufacturing?
Sure. So you can find us online at buchnermfg.com. That's BUCHNERMFG.com. Or you can find us on social media. So Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, all at Buchner Manufacturing. That's how you can find us, or you can even connect with me on LinkedIn, Anna Buchner. Happy to talk more about our products or even about marketing any day of the week.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to SYNCcast powered by Commercient. Learn more about ERP and CRM integration with Commercient SYNC by logging on to commercient.com.